Hello and welcome. My name is Hunter Wilhelm, and I'm going to be going over the app I've made called Offset Clocks. So what we got here is very similar app to like a world clock app that shows you clocks in different time zones. However, this one allows you to completely customize the clock itself. And as you can see, these clocks, I'm sorry if you have OCD because it's going to be slightly off, but that's how reality is. Not all clocks are on the same time. And sometimes if you're like going to work or to school, like these differences really matter if you're late or if you're on time, especially if they're off by 5 minutes or more. So this allows you to keep track of those clocks that maybe you don't have control over, but you still want to keep track of them. And so let's just go really quick over the process of how you can add a new clock. So when you go to add a new clock, you can change the seconds, and if you notice here, you can add or subtract like partial seconds, so you can get it really fine-tuned. You can also change the minutes, and you can change the hours. And some other features that we got going here is that you can name the clock whatever you'd like. For example, I'm going to name this sample. Computer's being a little laggy right now, but yeah. And as you can see, it is majorly off, and that is what we want. So some other features are we got 24-hour time going, or military time, whichever you prefer, and you can show the date. And this just allows you to see, okay, if I want a clock that is way behind, then you can also do that too if you want. You can manage world clocks on here too if you want. Let's see. All right, let's get into the code. So be sure to check out the full source code right here on my GitHub. But I'm going to take that away for just a minute, and let us go over the actual source code in Android Studio. So here's the README where you can see like the different resources in here that I used. And we're just going to change our view to Android mode. Okay, so our layouts are all in this folder, and so that was all the visuals that we saw. And then all these other folders are like storage for different files and things, but really the main part of the app starts right here. So when the app starts, we need to do a couple things. So we need to load variables, register timers, and the timers are the things that allow these clocks to run. So they're running very quickly. They're running 50 milliseconds apart. So then every 50 milliseconds this gets updated in the list. So, and then we register some buttons so that way we can then list it here. And so all the code is according to the Android API. And so probably don't have enough time to go through the entire code base here, but for sure go and take a look in the GitHub, and added some great comments to help you digest what the heck is going on here. So the most important part about this page is probably this green button. This green button is linked with a register or an event listener that launches this activity here. So how does the second activity here, so each phase is called an activity, know what the name of the clock is? So that information is found right here, so under the clock name. And so these little messages are then passed through the intent and then started over here. And so it gets passed over to the edit activity class. So over here, let me scroll to the top real quick. We have quite a bit of information that we need to store, such as like the settings and the this is called the floating action button, or the FAB. And so we have just like different settings that we have, and this is doing a lot more. So we get to load the variables, load the data also from the shared preferences API, and then it just puts all of it into it, and also has very similar design to the main activity. And yeah, just very similar style. We hold the information in this clock model, so Kotlin has this data class, And so then we can perform like two strings on him and store them in JSON, etc. And we also have an edit dialog page, and that is this right here. Just very quickly, these are where the constants are stored for passing the information through the intents. Let's see. This over here is the adapter that controls the information and displays all the boxes that you see here. And so this is being called 50 times a second by the main activity, and then it just updates the information based off of the time that we get in milliseconds from the calendar. What other information can we go over? Okay. I think one of the most interesting parts of this app is how information is shared across the app. So we got our shared view model, and that is accessed between the edit activity and the edit dialog. And this just allows you to share the name, and so then there's like a little listener that's on the name, and that information gets subscribed over to edit activity, and the edit activity stores it inside the shared preferences, and then shared preferences is read by main activity. So that way, even if you restart the app, then it still like has all the information in it. And some of the code that I was using over and over, I just put in this utils or utilities class, and these are pretty self-explanatory, just like putting the information into storage. Here we got the JSON information that we're putting it into a string inside it here, and it stores it within the app. And then just some visibility transformations. Here's our preferences. But yeah, thank you for drinking out of the fire hose with me today. Be sure to check this out on GitHub, and if you want to contribute, it will be open source.